Well, hello again, and welcome to another edition of the Speed Bag. Today, a little segment that I like to call, This Isn't Fun Anymore. Bellator's Michael Page went out there and did it again in London this past Saturday, knocking out Evangelista Cyborg Santos with a perfectly timed jumping knee. And this guy, Page, is an entertainer, and he clearly knows what's going on in the pop culture because he followed up that knockout with a celebration involving rolling out one of those Pokeball things. I don't know what it is clearly because I'm too old, but it seems like everybody else in the world absolutely loves it. So, fight sports and pop culture intersect. MVP has his finger on the pulse. It was all great fun until later we learned that that jumping knee, it actually kind of caved in Cyborg Santos' skull. And not in the Tito Ortiz, I don't want to make excuses, but I had a cracked skull sense, but in the actual medical documentation sense where you could see it, you could see the man's caved in skull. I mean, look at him. It's definitely one of the worst injuries that I've seen in over 15 years of following this sport. It was potentially a life-threatening injury, and it will almost definitely be a life-altering one, probably a career-ending one. It's hard to see Cyborg Santos at 38 with almost 20 years of pro fighting experience just bouncing right back after something that serious happens to his skull. It's the kind of thing, though, that makes me wonder how we're supposed to feel about it for a couple different reasons. I mean, on one hand, I get it, right? I mean, injuries are going to happen. Injuries happen in all sports, even really bad injuries. Even in sports where the participants are not actively trying to hurt each other as they are in the sport of professional cage fighting. I mean, we're running around throwing knees at each other's heads. What did we think was going to happen, right? I mean, occasional skull damage. I guess we should have probably expected that. But the more I think about it, the more this one bothers me. And it's not just the gruesomeness of it, although that doesn't help. And have you seen the cage side video where you can hear the audio as the knee lands? Because if you haven't, don't. And realize that I am doing you a favor here. But also, man, Cyborg Santos was knocked out in a fight 2 months ago. He was given a 45-day medical suspension after that. He was ordered to have no contact in training for 30 days, which does not leave him a whole lot of time to prepare for the next fight. His fight with Michael Venom Page came 63 days after that first-round knockout loss. Now, I'm not saying that that would not have happened to his skull had the fight taken place under different circumstances. I mean, that was a really hard knee, executed brilliantly at the perfect time. Probably the nature of the skull damage had little to nothing to do with what happened to him 2 months earlier. At the same time, you can't tell me that Bellator doesn't have big plans for Michael Venom Page, or that it didn't put this fight together thinking that it was going to result in probably another sensational knockout. Cyborg Santos has a name, Michael Page is undefeated, Cyborg Santos is coming off a loss 2 months ago, Bellator throws him right in there with MVP in London. Probably not too hard to figure out what Bellator officials were thinking there. And you got to think that right after it happened, Bellator officials thought they got exactly what they wanted. Highlight reel knockout that's going to be shared all over the internet, pop culture reference point that is just as timely as it could possibly be to seemingly the most popular thing in the universe. It seems like all that stuff played out exactly like you'd hope if you're Bellator. Until later, when Cyborg Santos' ex-wife posts the picture of his bashed-in skull and his clearly severely damaged face. And that also turns into kind of a viral sensation. And it also reminds us that that stuff is pretty serious. And for Bellator, a company that's been accused of playing it kind of fast and loose with medical concerns when it comes to their fighters. Again, I'm not saying that they necessarily did anything wrong to bring this about, but it's not a great look for Bellator. Especially because if you ask me which viral sensation I'm going to remember longer, the knockout or the picture of a man's skull crumbling in on itself, that's not a tough one for me to answer.